What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here. I just finished moving into my new apartment, so if there's a little echo in here, sorry. I'm gonna get it fixed this week, but we have a boatload to talk about with markets today. We have rumors of a 90-day pause in these tariffs. We have CNBC walking this back. We have hedge funds getting liquidated. We have circuit breakers happening overnight. We have what people are calling an emergency FOMC meeting. Guys, we have to break all of this down here. Again, the main thing that I want all of you guys to think about, and something that I have been discussing in depth with my private community here over the last couple of weeks, is that everybody is in too much of a rush to take action in this market here, and especially with not only how fast things are changing, but with the potential for a lot of these news headlines to actually be fake news and not actually real. You have to be very, very careful and tactical with your approach to this market here. So let's break down all this information here, guys. And again, before we get into all of that information, if you guys do enjoy these videos here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you never want to miss another video like this, make sure you guys are subscribed and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do go live. So when we come over here and take a look at this first headline, we have Hassett, Trump considering a 90-day pause in tariffs for all countries except China. When we come over here and take a look at the reaction out of the S&P 500 off of this news, you can look at the daily chart here. The wick to the upside here was very aggressive. We saw markets move back up into the green. Lots of stocks were turning very positive, and then we ended up getting this headline here. CNBC, no one at the White House is aware of a 90-day pause. Now, this is coming from an interview with Hassett in which he was asked, is the administration currently considering a 90-day pause in these tariffs? And what he effectively said is that the president is going to decide what the president is going to decide. There was no leaning either way, and this ended up getting reported by Reuters as being the case that the White House was considering that this was going to be some sort of policy or a change in policy that was going to take effect. Now, remember, guys, if you guys are on the VIX Insights tier, remember, it's only $10 a month. Link down below for those of you guys that are interested. We talked a lot about going into this week's trading week, how the word of the week is going to be deal making. What kinds of deals are going to be end up being made? And we can see here, Justin, the European Union has said it's ready to discuss 0-for-0 tariffs with the United States. Now, the main problem that markets are seeing right now with the way that this new trade policy is being enacted is that they're kind of playing both sides of the fence here and not providing any guidance as to what is going to happen next, leading to increased uncertainty in markets, which then furthers everything that we've been talking about here, that waiting and seeing and really sitting on the sidelines till we have a confirmed path forward is going to be the smart decision. Now, in addition to this, guys, we also have rumors and kind of people floating this around all of the different media sources that the Fed is going to be having an emergency closed-door meeting today at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. And the reason why people are spreading this everywhere is really because they're seeing markets aggressively in the red. And when you do see news of these closed door meetings, people think that there's emergency rate cuts coming in the near future, which is absolutely not the case, especially when you've listened to anything that Jerome Powell has said over the last couple of days and weeks here. So let's actually break down exactly what this is so that you guys have a better indication and better understanding of what is to come from this meeting, which is probably going to be nothing, and then what to look for going forward. So closed board meeting on April 7th, 2025, but this was dated and announced on the 3rd of April. So the day after this new tariff announcement came into effect. So what they're basically going to be reviewing and talking about in here is review and determination by the Board of Governors of the advance and discount rates to be charged by the Federal Reserve banks. Now, this is the rate at which banks are getting loans from the Fed. So what they're effectively talking about here is really trying to limit another situation where big bank, small bank, commercial bank, regional bank liquidity is going to be an issue very similar to what we saw back in the kind of Silicon Valley bank crisis there. But again, looking at this meeting here, these are, I wouldn't say that they're routine meetings that happen all of the time, but this is not to be labeled an emergency meeting, and I would not expect at all to hear anything about an emergency rate cut from this, because again, the Federal Reserve still believes that inflation is going to move to the upside, as we have talked about many times in these videos here. Again, you know that my opinion is a little bit different, but again, they still expect inflation to move to the upside based on this new trade policy. They're not really focused right now on that slowing growth and increasing unemployment, and if you look at this from the Fed's point of view and from their lens, well, they don't really have an argument to come out with rate cuts or even emergency rate cuts for that matter. So all of the things that we are seeing here today, guys, this potential emergency closed door meeting from the Fed that could lead to emergency rate cuts, not necessarily the case there. The 90-day pause on tariffs, which as of this moment right now, the White House has come out and confirmed that this is not actually the case, is leading to increased volatility in markets. And again, I think a lot of people are sitting here looking at this market, and especially the S&P 500, beating down at this current moment right now about 18% from the highs, and thinking, oh, it needs to bounce. What you guys have to realize is that even if we are to see a significant bounce in markets here, when we are in these type of bear markets, those bounces can be incredibly volatile and are not an indication of an actual bottom. Those are the most dangerous moves in bear markets. When we come back and look at what exactly happened in 2022, during that little bear market there, well, we saw very aggressive movement to the downside here, about 12% in the S&P, and we subsequently saw an aggressive 9% move, 8-9% move to the upside, and this happened over and over and over. There's an old saying that even in bear markets, bears lose money because they get comfortable shorting, they get caught in these big bear market rallies, and they end up losing a significant amount of money as well. Again, the name of the game in this market environment, guys, is going to be caution. Be very careful. And when we take a look at, again, last night was absolutely crazy. Japan and Taiwan markets hit circuit breaker as Trump tariffs deepen panic. We have not seen this type of market volatility since the 2020 pandemic price action, when the entire world was shutting down. Now, in addition to this, I know a lot of people are paying attention to China here. We talked a lot about Chinese markets on this channel here, and if you understand kind of the history of what happened in the last trade war, there was a decent devaluation of the yuan there that China did undertake, and there are rumors right now that China is discussing accelerating stimulus, which would devalue their currency in order to counter the Trump tariffs. But guys, as we head into Wednesday, it is going to be incredibly important to pay attention to that very key word, which is going to be deal making. If there are some deals that are going to be had between a lot of these foreign countries and the United States, you might see a short-term bottom in markets. But what you also have to remember is that big bank earnings start towards the end of this week here. We also have the FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday, but you really have to start looking into what is, let's say, for example, Jamie Dimon going to say when they hand him the mic on their earnings call on Friday. Do you think he's going to speak positively about the overall economy and markets? Or does he have a really strong argument there to be very cautious and honestly speak negatively about the overall outlook of the economy and market? So even if we are to see some deal making happen, we are not out of the woods yet. And I want to make sure that all of you guys that are watching these videos here maintain your cautious approach and don't let any of these whipsawing moves convince you to make honestly silly decisions in the short term in this market here. So guys, that is going to wrap up this video. If you guys did enjoy the information and analysis I provided for you guys in this one, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in getting these videos out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you never want to miss another video like this, make sure you guys are subscribed, turn on notifications so you're notified as soon as these videos do go live. But until next time, guys, I will see you. Peace.